Hi, it's Don Thornton, and I want to go over. I get a lot of people asking me questions about, how to find vacant houses because I used to do a lot of vacant houses back in the day. I would say from 2006 until 2000, maybe 14 or 15, I was driving for vacants quite almost every day. Well, I mean, obviously I took time off, but my point is that it was by far the most effective way for me to find uh, distressed houses. And of course, when someone walks away from a house, usually it's because they don't think that they have any value, the house, I mean. So, I mean, it was a perfect short sale source. I mean, my gosh. And this was back in the crisis. So, I mean, there was vacant houses all over the place. Now, it's as I've said in other platforms, it is not as. I mean, I don't drive for vacants right now, and I would if they were worth it, but I just don't think they're worth it right now because there's not as many of them. But I do think that maybe this time next year, I'm recording this in um, August of 2020. In a year from now, I think that we are going to see some vacants because I do think we're going to have a major economic upheaval here. We're already in one for that. Just so you know, if you're not fully cognizant of that yet. But I wanted to give you. I took a couple of pictures of some houses that I got back in the day, just to give you an idea of what to look for. Okay, so what I would do is I would have a route, and I would start like in Flagler County, then I work my way down to Volusia, and then I go down to Brevard. So I would hit the coast, and then I would come over and I would loop around, and I would do Osceola, and then I would do Lake County, and then initially I didn't do Marion County, which is Ocala, but then I started doing Ocala more. So I go to Marion County and do that, and then I would finish with Seminole, and then well, actually I would do Seminole, and then I would do Orlando. I always left Orlando for last for some reason, I don't know. But anyway, and then later on I did add Polk. I would start doing Polk County too, but I had a route, and for about 5 or 6 years. I mean, if you ask me, uh, I didn't even need a calendar. I could just say, if someone said, "Well, what month is it?" I'd say, "Well, what county am I in?" And if I said, "Well, it's you're in Lake," I'd say, "Oh, okay, I'm in March. It's March then," because I always knew that spring, February, March, that was when I would usually found myself in Lake County. But I would have a street guide. This was before GPS, and I would have it with me, and I would go through every residential area I could, and that included vacant house. I mean, excuse me, gated communities. I got really good at getting in gated communities. Well, that's a story for another day. I'll teach about that later. But the whole idea was there was these gems, these hidden gems out there, and you just had to go out and get them because there were investors that were doing it here or there, but I would say one of the biggest reasons I've been successful for so long is that I've always been willing to go the extra mile no matter what. And my thought was that I may not be as smart as everybody, I may not be as good looking as everybody, I may not be as sharp on the phone, but what I will do is I will outwork most people, and that dedication to working hard and working consistently has always been my trump card. Has always been the reason why I generally have done very well in real estate, because in foreclosures, especially when you're trying to find motivated sellers, and everybody goes after foreclosures. I mean, you just can't sit back and be passive. You have to go get them. And I always found that was what I wanted to do. And if it meant me driving, yeah, I put a lot of miles on my car. I get it. But for me, it was just that was the cost of doing business. So I would get up in the morning. I'm an early riser anyway. So, let's say, for example, Palm Coast is about an hour and a half away from Orlando. So I would get up about 5 o'clock maybe, and I would drive out there, and I would get out there about 6:15, 6:30, something like that. That was just when the this was when the it was just starting to get light, and I would just drive, and I would drive very slowly, about 5 miles an hour, and I would just look, and I would either do I would go like this on my eyes. I go this, 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 this. But I started getting a little dizzy. So what I started doing was just I would just say, okay, I'm gonna do one side of the street and double back into the other side of the street. And what I was looking for now, look, here's one. Here's a house here. This is in Palm Coast, and now you can't go by the grass, okay? But you do see how the bush is kind of not cut back. That's generally an idea that gives you a hint that maybe it's vacant. But right here, and I know if you can see this or not, but if you see right here in the window, there's a piece, it's a white piece of paper there, okay? And what that generally means is it generally means that the I can't get this to work. I'm not very good with this Mac, but the bank has a department called asset protection, and they will come in and they will um, winterize the plumbing. They will change locks, and they will announce, on the door and on the windows that the property's been secured, it's been found to be vacant, and that if you have any questions, call this number or whatever. So what they will do for them usually is they'll put this up here, and then at home, if you can enlarge this picture, you can probably see a white sticker on the front door. That's really what they do, and sometimes they'll put it on the garage door, but usually it's in the front window. Okay. Now, if I had any doubt, listen, I was brazen. I would pull up in the driveway and I would go ring on the doorbell, and then I would look in the windows. Now, obviously, they got these blinds open, so you can tell that there's nobody there. So you look in and say, okay, great. Now, you can't see the doorknob here, but if you see a lockbox, that usually is also a sign that it's that the asset protections come in and secured it, but not always, not always. But so on this one here, this house, this is also in Palm Coast. Um, you can't see the front door at all, or the windows, so you wouldn't know. But again, we're looking at hints here. Even though the grass is not high, you can see how the front bushes have completely overgrown and they're blocking the doorway. So normally, even if this person was the biggest lazy butt in the history of lazy butts, usually they're going to go as far as cut down this so they can get in without having to push through bushes, right? Branches. And then same thing with the garage door. Okay. So I would definitely stop off of there, and I would go and I would just go in and look, and I would maybe walk around, because lots of times the patio door will be halfway open. You can look in and see if they're there. And if someone said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking for the address. I think I got the wrong address. I'm so sorry." And just, okay, no problem, go away. But what I would do then is I would just, as I drove, I would have a note to my and I would just have a legal pad. And I would just jot down the street name and the number. And so this was done in October of 2013. Okay, so Kathy's my assistant, and all I would do is I would get home and I would just email it to her, and she would do the court lookups for me, and to see, and she would give me a revised list. She would take out the ones that were bank owned already, and I just wanted the ones that still had the homeowner listed as the owner. And she would also check the court docs, and she would filter out the ones that we had a looming foreclosure sale. Now, nowadays, I would still do it. If it were 30 days out, I would still make the attempt. But back then, I didn't use some of the techniques I use now to be able to get these things canceled quickly, or before we needed some lead time. And frankly, we had so many that it just, whatever, we got more than enough. I mean, the number I had, like 24, I think, was my biggest number in a month. But anyway, so you can just see this was just one area of Palm Coast. That's how many foreclosures, how many vacant houses there were. So I think that's coming back, but I think it's going to be at least another 6 to 12 months before we start seeing the kind of numbers that we would got before, and where it's worth going out and do it. I wouldn't do it now, but it will eventually be a very good tactic of finding short sales. And when it comes back, I'll tell you. And when I say go, you should go out there and get them, because it's just like casting a net out in the ocean and pulling fish in. That's the way it was. Okay, that's a couple words on driving for dollars. Thanks.